Ew, this man, he loves her so much. Gosh, I'm so embarrassed. And I don't even think that's the longest. So awesome. Good morning, my friends. It is the first day of this reading challenge reading vlog, and today we have to read for 6 hours and 44 minutes. Surprisingly, this is not the longest day of the week, so awesome. I need to find an audiobook because I'm currently reading Empire of the Vampire, and it's very dense, which is fine. It's just taking me a little while to get into it and read it. But I want to listen to an audiobook because I have a few errands I have to run this morning. So in order to get my time in, I need to pick an audiobook. But I want to pick something that's not a fantasy because I don't want to get out of the world of Empire of the Vampire. So I'm going to browse for a little bit and try to find an audiobook. I'm thinking I might do a reread of a romance book that I really love. So that's top on the list. I'll let you know what I pick, but I have to go grocery shopping. I'm going to do some errands to get some donations for fire victims and the firefighters today. So I have that going on, and then I'll be at home and I'll settle in and hopefully get to I would love to get to page 200 of Empire of the Vampire today. I think I'm on page 70. So that's quite a bit of reading, but we have 6 hours and 44 minutes to read today. So let's go ahead and get started. On Monday, day one. I still have 2 hours and 2 minutes to read today, so I've actually done quite a bit of progress, which is great. I've mostly been listening to an audiobook. I picked up Fake Empire by C.W. Farnsworth. This is actually a reread for me. It's the first book in the Kensington series, and book 3 came out last year, and book 1 is about Crew Kensington and Scarlett Ellsworth. They are both billionaires, but they're basically set up as an arranged marriage to keep, basically as a business merger to keep the money within the families. And they don't really know each other that well when they get married. They're both around 25, I want to say. She has her own empire that she has built on her own. She's got a magazine, she's about to start a fashion line, and Crew works for his father. He's going to take over as CEO of the Kensington Corporation, I suppose. But they don't know each other that well. They end up getting married, and feelings grow. So it's pretty self-explanatory, but I really love it. I feel like I love the dynamic between Crew and Scarlett. I love the way he talks to her. He's very sweet. He's not controlling. He understands her. They both understand the pressures that they're under with their families. And I think it's a really good connection, a really good dynamic between the two of them. So I'm really loving rereading that. And the reason why I'm rereading this is because book 3 is about their daughter. So it's the second gen, which I'm so excited to read about. And book 2 is about Crew's brother. And I actually ended up DNFing that book later in the year last year because I didn't love the dynamic between the two main characters. Like, I didn't like Oliver, the brother, like at all. And I was like, I don't need to read this. Like, I know what's gonna happen. I wanted to reread book one before I picked up like the second gen book. So that's why I'm rereading it. I'm listening to it on Hoopla. It's free there in case you're interested. Check it out if you haven't looked at that app. You can connect your library, and sometimes they have more books than I find like on my Libby app. So that's a great resource for you. I'm really enjoying it. I want to say like 3/4 of the way through it already. Like, I'll probably finish this book tomorrow, but for my last 2 hours tonight, I want to sit down and read Empire of the Vampire. I'm at about 100 pages in that book, so I would love to get 100 more pages read tonight. This feels like a stretch because I'm reading it so slow. There's just so much detail, and the way that the story is told is very cool. I want to like wait a little bit to get a little bit further into it to give you like a full synopsis because I'm still curious as to like where this story is going. But the way the story is told is just very detailed. It's very long, lots of description, and I'm not liking it. Like, I really am enjoying it. Like, it pulls you right in. Like, I get into the story, but it's just, it takes a long time to read. So I'm reading it a bit slower than I would like a fantasy romance or like a contemporary romance book. So that's fine. It's just where my mind's at right now. So I'm gonna sit down right now and read. I have a little bit of a sore throat, so I'm going to drink some tea out of one of my favorite bookish mugs. This is from one of my favorite books, For the Record, I Hate You. If you haven't read that book, go read it, you know. And hopefully I can read for 2 hours and 2 minutes tonight. Good morning, my friends. Happy Tuesday. We are on day 2 of this reading challenge, and I want to kind of give an update for how last night went and then let you know how much I have to read today. Last night, I was so tired. I was like, my eyes could not stay open to get to where I needed to get to in this book. So I have 25 minutes and 30 seconds to put on the clock for today. And today's total time that I have to read for is 5 hours and 44 minutes. So I'm going to add 25 minutes and 30 seconds to that. And that's how much I'm going to read for today. What I'm going to do is just finish the timer out for the 25 minutes that I had from yesterday. And then I will reset the timer for 5 hours and 44 minutes. So I will make sure to get the time to make up last night. So it's 9 o'clock in the morning. I have a couple of things I need to do around the house, but first I just want to sit here and like do some reading. It's really cold. It's only like 45 degrees outside, but we don't have heat, so it feels very cold in my house. So I've got like a snuggly blanket. I've got my second cup of coffee. So I just kind of want to sit here and read for a bit before I do some things around the house. I do still have my audiobook. I'm reading Fake Empire, so I've got that to listen to while I do a couple of chore things around the house. So I've got a plan. I feel like I might need to pick up another book that I could do like audio and Kindle, and here's why. Empire of the Vampire is very good, but it is taking quite a long time to read. Like, I'm just not reading it very quickly. And I feel like if I'm going to sit down and read for 6 hours, like, I'm not sure that this is the book that I'm going to sit down and read for 6 hours. I feel like this is the book that I'm going to read at night for like 50 pages, if that makes sense. So we'll see how today goes, but that's kind of how I'm feeling for the rest of this challenge. And I'm not like desperate to finish this book in 2 days. I kind of want to take my time with it and I don't want to read it super quickly. So I might pick up another book on my Kindle that I can also get on audio. We shall see. I'm also considering reading like the last 100 pages of Iron Flame before Onyx Storm comes out. And it comes out in a week. So I don't have that much time. I mean, honestly, I would love to be done with Empire of the Vampire by the time Onyx Storm comes out because I don't necessarily want to be reading the two at the same time. So I don't know. I have to figure out kind of my schedule for the next few days, the next week, so I can make sure I'm set up to pick up Onyx Storm at the right time. But for today, we're going to read Empire of the Vampire.
We are going to read Fake Empire. We're probably going to finish Fake Empire on audio. I only have like 2 hours and change left. So that's like a really fast listen. And as I said last night, like I'm still loving it. I think the way that the author writes these two characters is just so, so good. Like their chemistry together is like fireworks. And I feel like they know each other so well, but they're both so afraid and like afraid to be vulnerable, afraid to let someone in, afraid to need someone the way that they feel like they need each other in their lives. So like just be a support for one another and to be there for each other. And I think it's so sweet that they like slowly start trusting each other and slowly let their guard down in order to get to that space. And I'm loving being in these characters' minds again because honestly, this is like a top tier indie romance for me. So I'm so excited to be like, I'm just so happy to be back with these characters. So I'm really excited to finish that one today. But all that to say, I have 5 hours and 44 minutes today, plus my 25 minutes from last night. That's like 10, 6 hours and 10 minutes approximately that I'm going to be reading today, which is less time than I had yesterday. So cheers. Tomorrow is a doozy. I know that. So I need to figure out my plan before tomorrow starts.
Tried to film this clip several times, but my audio is like being so whack today. So hopefully I can remember all the points that I wanted to get across in this little update. It's much later in the day. It's almost 2:30. I came a little bit early to school pickup because I was hoping to get a little bit of reading time, and I just didn't seem to be doing that in my house. So I thought I'd step away, remove all of the distractions. I did, in fact, clean my house as I needed to. I made a second cup of coffee. Are you guys open mug in the car people like me? Let me know. I love it. I know it's a little weird for some people, but I can't help it. And what else did I do? Oh, I finished Fake Empire. Overall, like, this arranged marriage billionaire romance is such a hit for me. I feel like our FMC, she is independent, she is strong, she's powerful, she is obviously very wealthy. Both of our main characters are billionaires, but she also knows as a woman it's a little bit harder, and so she pushes herself a little bit, and I think that she's kind of looked down on or like talked about a lot in a negative way because she's a woman. And so there's a little bit of discourse on that, which I enjoy, but also like the way that our MMC crew talks to Scarlett and talks about Scarlett is so sweet. He like knows she's independent. He loves that about her. He doesn't ever want to take that away from her. Like, he loves who she is as she is and doesn't want to change her or anything, and I love that. So, like, together, our MMC and our FMC, like, learn to trust each other. They learn how to let their guard down a little bit, which they've never felt like they can do. They have messy family relationships, so I love that they kind of build a new family together and just, like, learn to be vulnerable and learn, like, what it means to love someone, and I think it's very sweet. So I'm glad I reread this before picking up False God, because I wanted, like, to be back in Crew and Scarlett's world. I will say this book is a little bit spicy. It's got a few spicy scenes, so if that's not your thing, beware. But I have such a good time reading this book, and I'm hoping book 3 lives up to my expectations. So I am also obviously reading Empire of the Vampire. I got to page like 240, and while I sit here in the car waiting for school to get out, I'm going to read it on my Kindle. It is on Kindle Unlimited, in case you didn't know, which is kind of nice because this book is so chunky. But if you don't know what this book is about, it's about Gabriel de Leon. He is a silver saint, which is essentially like a vampire hunter. That's very basic terms, but this story starts out with him in a cell, and he is recounting the story of his life to someone who's recording his story for generations to come. And it kind of jumps from like him as a child to him as like a teenager, and then it jumps ahead as well. So the timeline is kind of all over the place. It's not in order. He jumps around quite a bit, and I know for like the way that the story is told, he is actually telling the story to this vampire who's recording his story, and there's a little bit of conversation between the two of them, but it also is him like living his story again, essentially. But when Gabriel was a boy, there was a thing called Day's Death. I think that's what it's called. And basically a darkness came over the land and covered the sun. So the sun never quite shines the way it normally does again. And this allows creatures of the night to come out during the day. And so vampires essentially become more prevalent. They become more ruthless. They become a little bit more bold because they are able to come out in the middle of the day, and vampires survive more because they don't get like scorched by the sun like they used to. So they kind of start infiltrating and taking over the lands, and now there's like this army of dead, and they are ruled by the Forever King, which is like this vampire who has dubbed himself as the King of the Dead, or the Forever King. And at the beginning of the novel, we find out that Gabriel has slain the Forever King, so they want to know his story and like how he came to be the slayer of the Forever King. So we're getting the backstory, we're getting his past, and there's a lot of things that are connected, and it's very in-depth, it's very detailed. There are a lot of new terms. There's quite a bit of world building. So while I'm really enjoying it, it is just like a more dense read. So it's taking me quite a while to read it, but I am glad it's on Kindle Unlimited. I'm going to sit here for a little bit and read it. Overall, like, I'm having a good time. It's taking a while to get through it. Also, there are quite a few French words in this book. So if you don't know French, that might annoy you a little bit, but I was actually a French major in college, so it's kind of fun to have like French words sprinkled throughout this book a little bit. But I'm going to sit here right now. I'm currently at 30%, and I would love to get to like 50% today, if possible. I have 3 hours left on my timer, 3 hours and 1 minute left on my timer, and that's all I think going to be put towards this book. I have been reading, and I've been so focused on this book that I didn't realize that it's like dark in this room. But I want to read a quote that I just read from Empire of the Vampire that I was like, that's right, go off. A female in this book says, "What a world this would be were it not held wholly and solely in the grip of stubborn old men." Mic drop. So good. So good. I've highlighted so much of this book. I'm so into it. I'm so into it. I have an hour and 45 minutes left of today's timer, which is incredible. I'm probably gonna stop and make dinner here in a minute and save my hour and 45 minutes to read physically Empire of the Vampire tonight because I'm so into it now. Okay, it is Wednesday, day 3 of this reading challenge, and as you saw earlier, today I had 8 hours and 37 minutes to read for. Gosh, I'm so embarrassed, and I don't even think that's the longest. Like, I think tomorrow might be worse. But we are cruising. We are currently at 4 hours and 57 minutes. I want to do a quick update for you because I did start a new book. First of all, I am still reading Empire of the Vampire. I got quite far last night. I'm about 40, I don't want to say 42% into this book, and stuff's happening. There's some movement. There are some things happening. Lots of stuff is being uncovered. Still so much we don't know, but this one is so good. It's taking me a long time. So tonight, after bedtime for kid, I have the evening alone. I'm going to sit down and read like a huge chunk of this. Obviously, if I have 5 hours left, it's already 4:30 in the afternoon. Like, when am I going to read for these 5 hours? This is really bad, but I'm going to be reading Empire of the Vampire. So the problem with this is not this book specifically, but the problem is I've been so tired. Like, the moment I get in bed to read, I set up my Kindle on my little like Kindle arm. I've got my little Kindle arm up here. It's amazing. I set it up and immediately like my eyes start closing. So last night I went to bed before 10 o'clock and I was able to finish my time yesterday, which is great, but that's not going to happen tonight because I'm gonna need to stay up until like midnight at least to get in my 5 hours at this point. Gosh, this is really bad. Okay. We're not going to think about that. We're not going to think negatively. Let's think positively. We can do this. It's okay. The other book I'm listening to is Georgie All Along by Kate Clayburn. This is my first book by this author, and I've heard great things. So I saw it available at my library for audio, and I was like, let's check that out. And then I went to the library today and picked it up because I was like, I want to like read alongside with it because I'm squealing. I'm having such a good time. Oh my gosh, I'm having such a good time. So we have Georgie. She's been in LA working as a PA for like a Nora Ephron type of character. And she ends up like losing her job because her boss decides that she wants to go like live off the grid and not be in Hollywood anymore. So she's like, Georgie, go figure out what you want to do with your life. So Georgie has to move back home for a little bit. Her best friend has recently moved back home and she's about to have a baby. So her excuse is like, I'm going to go help my best friend with her new baby. But she ends up getting a roommate for various reasons. And it's like the older brother of her high school crush. And he's like the black sheep of the family. He's very quiet. He's very grumpy. He doesn't really talk to his family. The whole town kind of looks down upon him, and he kind of gives her a wide berth. Like, I think he assumes that she thinks those things about him as well, and he thinks that like Georgie is perfect and like this little small town girl who's like returned home and, you know, just sunshiny. And she's also working through her own stuff. So I think they both have a lot that they're trying to figure out. I think they are beginning to kind of see that about each other, that they're not like who they portray themselves to be, that they've got some stuff inside that they're trying to work through and process. And I don't know, it's really fun so far. I'm loving the dual narration in this book, which is really fun. They are about to have some like alone time on purpose outside of them awkwardly being around each other at the house. So having so much fun with this one. I'm like, are there other books by Kate Clayburn that I can put on hold because I'm having such a good time? And the male narrator in this book, I looked up what else he's narrated, and he narrates a young adult novel by C.W. Farnsworth that I've already read. It's called Kiss Now, Lie Later, and I believe it's getting traditionally published, but I put that audiobook on hold too because I was like, oh, I love his voice. Like, I remember listening to it. I listened to that book while I ran a half marathon, and so I have like really good memories of that book, but I might listen to that as well. So I'm just like, I'm having a good time reading again, which is really exciting. But I think this will be like the rest of this vlog is finishing these two books. Now, do we think I can finish Empire of the Vampire in the next couple of days? We have 2 days left in this challenge. We might need a third book. Another audiobook maybe? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how we do on Empire of the Vampire. But these are tonight's plans. I am going to go start dinner in a little bit, but for now I'm just gonna like keep making some headway while listening to this and like doing some stuff around the house, and hopefully we can get this time down to like 4 hours before nighttime reading starts, because I cannot imagine 5 hours of just sitting there reading Empire of the Vampire. I'm like already depressed thinking about it. All right, let's go read. All right, it is like 8:30 and I have 3 hours and 45 minutes left in this timer, which feels like so much. But I had to stop in the middle of a chapter reading Georgie All Along earlier this evening, so I'm gonna finish this chapter really quickly. And I might read a little bit more in this book because I'm so loving it and it's just easy to read. But I mean, I might finish it. Who knows? If I finish it, that's okay. I still have more time to read Empire of the Vampire tonight because I have 3 hours and 45 minutes left. Quick reading updates, my friends. It is Thursday morning and today we have to read for 8 hours and 33 minutes. I did not finish my time last night. I have like an hour left on the timer. If I have time, I will try to make that up today, but honestly, I'm not going to worry about it because it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I did finish Georgie All Along. 5 stars. That book was so good. I am in the car. I'm meeting a friend for a run, but I literally just listened to the last 2 chapters again because like I was squealing so hard in bed last night reading it. My husband was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "No, this man, he loves her so much." I can't. I'm so obsessed. So yeah, that took me longer than I anticipated because I was like sitting on every word. I just wanted to like be in the story. And so I only ended up getting like 20 minutes of Empire of the Vampire read. So we know what the goal is today. I'm definitely not going to finish it in this vlog, but one can hope. I do need to figure out a new audiobook because I finished mine last night, and that's all the plans. I do have some errands to run this morning, so an audiobook is really gonna make this 8 hours and 33 minutes go by faster. So those are the current plans. I'll keep you posted on what audiobook I pick up, but Georgie All Along, man, I might need to buy my own book for this one because I definitely see myself rereading this book. Wow, incredible. So incredible. guess who failed this challenge? Now, we knew this was going to happen. Yesterday, I had like 5 hours left and it was already 8:30 at night. I wake up at 6 a.m. I try to go to bed by 10 every night. I'm getting too old for this staying up all night thing. I need like 7 to 8 hours of sleep. So I knew that this was not going to happen, but I did end up stopping the timer at like 3 hours and 20 minutes. So, I mean, I got over 5 hours of reading done yesterday, which is pretty impressive, but this video is going to end. We're done with this challenge. I'm proud of myself for what I read. I believe that my screen time overall went down, which is great because that was the whole point. I was like doom scrolling so much last week, and I think that this really helped me from doom scrolling this week. So that's a success to me. Let's quickly go over all the books that I read. First of all, we read Fake Empire by C.W. Farnsworth. This is a billionaire arranged marriage romance. Really loved this. This was a reread for me. I listened to this on audio earlier in the week, so I think I gave this book 4 stars again, which is a good book for me. Then I read Georgie All Along by Kate Clayburn. This was 5 stars for me. I'm obsessed. Levi and Georgie have my whole heart. I want to go buy a copy for myself because I feel like I want to annotate it. I loved this one so much. This is a small town-ish romance, but not in the way that you would think of a small town romance. Georgie goes home to her hometown. I suppose a hometown romance. A little bit of forced proximity, a little bit of like the bad boy vibe, but he's reformed. Love that moment. And I think they were made for each other and I love them so much. So go read this book if you haven't already. And then yesterday I listened to The Never King. That was a time. This audio is very short. It's like 5 hours. And one of the spiciest books I've ever read in my life. This is essentially a Peter Pan reimagining. We've got Peter Pan who comes and takes a darling on her 18th birthday, and he brings her back to Neverland from like the modern world because he's looking for something that the first darling stole from him. And our darling in this time, Winnie, goes with him and kind of like gets involved with Peter Pan and the Lost Boys. This is the first in a series. I'm kind of curious to see where the rest of the series goes, but I don't know if I can handle all of that on audio. I'm not going to rate this book. This was a time. That's all I can say. And then last but not least, we made it through 50% of Empire of the Vampire. I'm very proud of myself. I did want to finish this in this vlog, but it's going to have to roll over to my weekend reading vlog because I just did not get there, and that's fine. This book is very long. It's very dense. I'm having the best time reading it. Last night when I was reading, I gasped audibly like 4 times in one chapter. I can't believe what's happening. Like, I have no words. This book is incredible. Vampires, vampire slayers. We've got a prophecy. We've got lots of fighting, obviously, and some like really heartbreaking relational moments that have just killed me, and I'm only 50% in. So I know this book is going to destroy me. Book 3, and I think the final book in this series comes out later this year. So I'm determined to read book 2 as well this year before book 3 comes out, but I'm having the best time with this. So overall, I'm very happy with the reading that I did this week. I wish I had done a little bit more, but I think picking up Empire of the Vampire slowed me down just a little bit, and that's fine. Sometimes that happens, but I'm happy that I didn't doom scroll as much this week, and I found a 5-star, which makes me so happy. My first 5-star of the year, which I'm delighted with. So thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you have a wonderful day, and hopefully I will catch you in the next one.